members. The TRV-3 is a short-range version of my event horizon that uses 3 parts per one direction. There's 6 directions in space. It uses 3 directions of my event horizon drive, and it basically just controls gravity. It just pushes itself around with gravity, and it also can control time in a relatively small area. But I mean, this equipment, it's not for civilian use at all. So anyone trying to build this equipment, they're stopped. Anyone that tries to use it, they're stopped. And we have to regulate who uses it and why, because it's too powerful. It's way too powerful just to have normal humans basically dicking around with equipment that controls time.
You bet.
So we clamp down on that pretty severely because we have to. One chaotic idiot with that device, or any of my devices, they would plunge the entire world into chaos, absolute chaos. They would be able to control anything underneath that craft, and they could do anything they want to anybody, even through time. So they could go back in time in a relatively small area. They could reverse time, forward time. They could rape murder. They could bring people back. Basically what they allowed for bail with my equipment, which is why I stepped in with ET Military and had it all stopped. So that's basically what the country was doing, and they've had that equipment since the 40s, but my alien military has been right there next to them, waiting for me to give them an order to take these people out.
So can I ask, is this what everyone saw over Arizona 10 years ago or whatever? Or was that
I mean, what they see, I think it's ET equipment, because anything that isn't stealth, anything that doesn't have stealth angles like the F-117 bird, the stealth fighter, anything that doesn't look like that exactly is ET equipment. So that's more like my ET military than what the military uses here on Earth. Aside from the gold glowing craft, they have an Aurora spacecraft that glows. That could be my ET military, and it could also be United States military. That's equipment that I've known about for a while, and they've had it. They've had that equipment since the 40s, so they've been pretty loose with what they use. But I mean, it is clamped down on because my ET military makes sure that this continues and people are stopped, or the military isn't allowed to do as much with that equipment as they could. And that's actually technically why we still continue. It's actually due to the fact that military is held and controlled, and they have to be. Everyone has to be. I mean, that's what rule and order is. It's either you have rule and order in a civilization, or you have complete chaos, particularly with my equipment. So it's regulated, but I mean, like, you join the military and they slap you with a badge and they send you off in that equipment, and they come back, they follow the rules, and otherwise they get killed. So I mean, it's a very simple measure to take that continues Earth, and that's our business, is we continue Earth.
I did find the Aurora, so I'm showing everybody.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a cruise ship, but with the bottom, if you will, too.
The Auroras that I have, those are large discs.
Oh.
The discs are gold glowing, so they glow gold, and they're very large. Those are the Auroras I have.
Okay.
This is an urgent warning to all investors. Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, has said the United...
I'm going to try to see if I can find those. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, but that's basically what we do. I haven't imposed my authority before, but we had to. This planet got completely delusionally insane about genociding the population, thinking it could do anything towards me, and so I had to step in ET military to regulate life, basically. So we're slowly taking control, but we'll be in total control in the next 6 months.
Well, that would be awesome for humanity, because it's fading fast.
I know, they really screwed up. They genocided about 60 billion children in 15 years. The human species has 4 billion children a year, and they kept the human population at 10 billion for 15 years and then dropped it down to 7 billion. Meanwhile, 4 billion children were being grown every year, and they genocided all of them.
Is that for the, well, I can't even use that word here on YouTube. The Chrome? The Chrome?
Well, it was leadership, it was Vail, it was rich people, it was people connected with the government, it was the 4 stars in command. I mean, they went completely effing insane, and delusionally insane. So when Trump was doing this, Trump's also involved. Yeah, he's a horrible individual, absolute horrifying individual.
I showed everyone.
Yeah, well, we had to regulate Trump, and I kept him alive. I allowed him to live with him begging for his life in front of me, and I never should have. I never should have allowed that guy to live, and if he ever touches the White House again, we'll kill him, flat out. He's a horrifying individual. He allowed genocide, he allowed rape, he allowed murder, and he went to jail for rape, and they caught him for rape, and they bragged to the public with what I know is like, hey, he was genociding children, raping, murdering children, and he went to jail for a day for raping like a 60-year-old girl that was like young 30 years ago, and that's all he got charged with. And they were bragging.
Well, that was a civil case, but let's keep those words off this so we don't get killed.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, it's just we're handling it. You know, it's a slow process right now, but it will be solved in the next 6 months for a fact.
Does your Aurora have an L in it? Because they have a gold triangular circular disc, but theirs is AUREOLA instead of A. But
it's just I mean, I call it an Aurora. The GREYS might call it something else amongst their own, but I just call it an Aurora because it glows. I mean, that was the designation I gave it. I spell it the same as Aurora Borealis.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Me and you have been talking about these armored suits. They must be made of Teflon or something, at least bulletproof, maybe more than that. You said
yeah, they are.
They had shields. Who are we fighting?
Right now, we're fighting only our own. We're not fighting ET. I mean, ET can shut down the suit. They're telepathic. So when my ET military shows up and they attack you, you start grabbing your head and screaming no. And like, if you've seen the X-Files, when Mulder was at the Mexican telescope out in Mexico, that's like huge. They filmed a James Bond movie there. He was screaming in a corner when my ET military showed up and greeted him. And that's what the ET military does to you. There's no ability of fighting them at all, period. But those gravity suit armor systems, they're useful because, you have to fight warfare, like regular warfare that the human species does to themselves. And the person or government, the one in command or the one that's in military that has access to those suits, which right now I don't allow, not until leadership gets on board with helping me stop bail and the corruption and all the horrifying things they've done. I don't allow anything built until they get on board. But the one that is in control of those suits, they can wipe out Earth. They could take 5 Spartans and they could wipe out Earth that second. That's why I don't allow that equipment built.
Now, what's a Spartan?
There's a few different classifications of Spartan. There's the regular recruits that get indoctrinated and they become Spartans. We've got telepathic individuals that can write your mind perfectly telepathically, and they can indoctrinate you that way. So there are different classifications of soldier. And you've got the regular troops, you've got the assets. I'm an asset. I've been around telepathic military assets, and I'm also that capable when I turn on. If I get attacked or if I'm going to go on a mission and take somebody out, we are partially telepathic, so we can control your mind. We can cease your mind. We can freeze you. We can do some really scary stuff, and it's real. It's very real. And the people that I talk to, particularly the people that are listening, they know everything that I'm saying is perfectly true, honest, and it is real. Because there are assets that are listening to this right now, and they know that I know everything, that themselves know everything. The public doesn't know much because not everybody's in the military. So you have to be in the military. You have to run into these kind of people to actually understand that that is real.
Or you can follow the money.
Yeah, to a degree.
It does disappear,
yeah.
You're right, but that's where you know it goes.
It does, but that's actually held. Like, my intelligence area, there's no way of buying those people off because my ET military will show up and kill them all if they get corrupt or if they attack me. And I can set it. I started setting in rules of making sure that things continue, that population isn't being genocided. Right now, I'm only protecting police, FBI, military, car companies, chip manufacturers. But we're slowly clamping down on the money being sent to these 4-stars that have all the power, all the capability, and just using it for the most horrifying means known to God. And that's being stopped. That is being stopped because I don't put up with that.
So I did a report that 550 plus of our 4- and 5-star generals and rear admirals, after they have their full pensions, they're working for Middle Eastern states, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and we're still paying their pensions, which is several $100,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's classic. That's very classic. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I have no idea what they're doing with that knowledge that they have from the military. But they're always looking for more money. You know, it's a greedy species. The human species is greedy by nature. So I mean, like, they want more and more and more and more and more, and then they give their capability to other countries because they retire here, and they're not bound legally for much at all. And they require large sums of money from other countries that will pay them, and they'll do anything they want.
Yes. They're getting millions from these countries while we're paying their $300,000 and $400,000 a year pensions.
Yeah.
And Congress did question it last month, but no one ever does anything in our Congress.
No, I'm aware. I'm aware. I was in government 2012 under Barack. I was in charge of the budget for the country, actually, and I did budget cuts and this and that. But I left government because I was getting a bit too hostile. I was going down the tubes, and we did a few questionable activities. So I'm just it was mainly like attacks that I commanded. But I left government for that reason. I was going down the tubes, and they wouldn't listen, and it wasn't beneficial for either of us. And I was getting too hostile, so I backed myself off purposefully on my own, just because I needed to work on myself. When I was in a leadership position, I felt like I needed a bit more time and get a bit older, and so I could actually manage people without just being hostile and horrifying. But I was absolutely hostile and horrifying for a while. And it got me in trouble a couple times. So, I grew out of that, which is good. But unfortunately, we do need to be a bit hostile with the government if they don't want to listen. The consequences for not listening is ET military gets sent, and my ET military will give them one warning. They'll say, "Hey, listen, otherwise you're dead." And if they refuse telepathically in their head and say, "No, we're not going to listen," they get killed that second. So
the U.S. Citizen is 1,000% behind you. If you can make that happen, obviously everyone can see.
Yeah. That's what I've been hearing as well. When I was explaining the atrocities of the government and the atrocities of the leadership and Vail and all these people, I was straight up told by SEAL 6 to plow through these horrifying SOBs that second and don't leave a single one alive. So that is an option. That is always going to be an option. But in warfare, the classic words from Sun Tzu, The Art of War, is you always allow your enemy one means of escape. Because if you allow your enemy one means of escape, they're thankful, possibly helpful, and they don't attack. But if they know they're going to be killed, if they know that they're screwed, that's when they become the most fierce, bitten wolf that you could ever imagine, and they go completely insane.
Exactly. And The Art of War also says never broadcast your plans like we do months ahead of time.
Yeah, no, we don't. We don't. This has been an operation that's been going on for a couple years, and we're just now at the end of it. So basically, this is the time that they're either going to listen, and they're allowed that one means of escape, not being hostile towards me, not being hostile towards the population, listening, being useful, being helpful, and as long as they can do that, the classic thing in war is you keep them, and you say, well, good job, you know, you get to be kept, and then they're thankful, then they're helpful, then they're useful, and they're not attacking human civilization anymore, and held and controlled, and they learned their lesson. And that's very important, because they'll become more horrifying if they know they're dead. Like, they will become the most horrifying SOBs known to God.
It'll be like the last Spartans. They would fight to the death, and they would kill 10,000 for 100 of them.
Oh, exactly. They would just go completely insane. So we have been working together with each other, government and I, and they are listening. So, I mean, it's basically just strategy. It's just you have to run the board perfectly, and I'm a professional gamer. I know how to run a board. I know how to position myself. I know how to win. And it's very easy when they want to make it easy. But if they don't want to make it easy on themselves, they don't have to. But they are. So
what do you think about this Hunter Biden thing and this laptop release last night? I thought y'all might have...
That's kind of laughable in my opinion. So I started the hacking group Anonymous back in 2012. The key thing with Anonymous is that we're anonymous. We are everyone, we are no one, and we are legion. So one anonymous person speaks for all of us, or we speak as one for one individual. So it could have been anonymous, or the other option is that Hunter Biden and the presidency are just bragging that, like, here's all my laptop data and you can't charge me, ha ha ha.
Right.
Because that's what people do. That's what serial killers do.
Well, so I ended up with all of his hard drive, 100% of it, and I showed some of it on my private website. And I ended up throwing it in a lake. The actual hard drive, it cost me $250 for the physical hard drive.
You're supposed to break that thing with a hammer. You're not supposed to throw it in a lake because that can be retrieved.
Well, I messed up then, but I threw it in a lake because I was so afraid because of the children on it. Okay?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I saw.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Vale has been doing that my entire life, and they bragged it to me. They kidnapped my father, and they tried to involve him, and he's a pacifist Buddhist. And he'd come home screaming, crying, drunk, saying, "Why am I here? I'm not these people. Why do they keep doing this to me? And we have to get out of the country. We have to get out of this country. We have to leave. We have to do something. We got to get away from these people." That was my dad every night as a doctor in Vale, and he was kidnapped by Vale all the time. And that's how horrifying those individuals actually are, because the FBI is corrupt, and the corruption of the FBI means rape, murder, genocide, and those are the least horrifying that those people are.
A lot of organ transfers, a lot of...
Well, I mean, they're murdering children. So, I mean, they just take your organs.
Let's be nice. This is YouTube alert.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, it's... So, I mean, we're dealing with some really serious stuff, and we are clamping down on these people. We are going to get rid of that. Because, I mean, that's absolutely not tolerable. That's not tolerable. Like, that is not tolerable in a human species. You do get eliminated for doing that kind of stuff for a reason. And they've been so powerful of controlling the human species with murder that nobody's been able to stop them, and nobody's willing to stop them. And everybody's just been indoctrinated to follow those people, and now we're rising up. We are the revolution that's starting and ending that stuff.
Well, let me ask you a question here. Have you ever heard of string theory, M theory, the theory of everything? Theory. So is that true that the aliens might come from higher dimensions and instead of other stars?
Inside of a black hole. They're from the inside of a black hole before this universe was even started. That's where my ET military and all ET is from. They're from inside of a black hole, which is hell itself.
So is this is a question I've always wanted to know. Is the other side of a black hole a sun? Because it would make perfect sense. No.
No.
Okay.
No, the inside of a black hole is void of light, void of time, void of friendliness as an area.
Okay.
As an environment. It was before this universe was started. Which this universe was started purposefully. And I can't tell you how, I can't tell you by who, but it was started purposely, and I was purposely birthed here through my ET military just to be here. Actually extremely important. So that's why this has always continued. That's why there hasn't been anything that ever happens to me, or ever going to, because I'm protected for that reason. It's very serious. So this universe, it's not a simulation, but what it is it is a real dimension that was grown purposefully. So I mean, and the environment, like the slit experiment, like the light slit experiment, it only shows up when you're looking at it. And there is a way to this universe that's alive and interactive. And there's also God. God is real. I mean, it's a very...
There has to be a creator, right? There has to be.
There is. He's 30 foot tall. He looks like he's about 8,000 years old. Very, very man-like. Long, tipped white beard. Very straight, long-tipped beard. Straight, long hair. That's white. About 8,000 looking years old, and he's 30 foot tall. That's God. That's why he's called the big dude, or the big one. That's why. But he is real.
I thought that was Biden, the big guy, or whatever they call him.
No, I call Biden my number one idiot.
He's
my number one.
Definitely that. Definitely that.
That's short for number one idiot. So if he wants to continue being an idiot, he's going to get killed, flat out.
Well, I can't believe he hasn't yet, by the way.
Yeah, no, unfortunately the human population worships those kind of people because they see them and they're powerful and they want to keep them going, and they're indoctrinated by people, and they don't care that,
he has no power over me whatsoever.
Correct. Yeah, there's some of us that, we do not allow that high status in life to affect our mind. And you're definitely one of them. Other people are, but a lot of people aren't. So a lot of people are swayed by those people. And
I guess 90% sheeple, right?
I don't know. Hopefully not. I think once we break human civilization out of being indoctrinated by these people, that they'll get their senses back. Hopefully. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of effort. But it's worth it. We do well as a species. We do some pretty incredible stuff, and we build some pretty incredible things.
I want to say one thing to Shashiman. It doesn't matter what color that is. That's a racist statement, okay? So we'll go from there.
I don't believe in racism. Racism is not cool.
That's just uneducated trash.
Yeah, I absolutely don't believe in racism. I was living with the army from dudes from Ghana when I had my ET military greet a house that I lived at with the army, and two of them from Africa and an Indian here in Colorado Springs. And unfortunately, the area that I'm in is very racist, and they're very horrifying. And I'm not, and neither the people that I'm with.
Well, you'll find that the African Americans are the most racist group in the world. Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's an old tribal thing. It was basically it's fear of not looking like the other guy, and we survived as a species because we feared everyone else, and that type of fear kept us alive. So it's still predominantly permanently in our brains because those were the only ones that survived. But that's actually where racism comes from. But yeah, it's not tolerated with me.
All right. So, hey, can we take maybe 4 questions from the audience? Is that cool?
Yeah, man.
And listen to this. If you can't answer them or don't feel comfortable,
I'll let you know.
yeah, let me know, and I'll take care of it, and we'll go to the next one, okay?
Yep.
I like your outlook on racism. I just want to point out that the Barbary trade slave actually enslaved over 1.5 million Western Europeans into North Africa, and that was the 250-year period before what's called the transatlantic slave trade.
Right.
Get your information right. Now YouTube's actually making me take it down about the Barbary slave trade. But hey, if you get your reparations like the UN guy said today, I want mine too. And when I said that the UK is coming after your pets, I'm going to prove it through 20 sources tomorrow. That's their next move, is to come after your pets because of their flagellants. It sounds hard to believe. Now, I want the best questions while he has time on his phone. If anyone has a good question with quality, no negativity in it whatsoever, please let me know, okay? You know what? I can't turn on the closed caption, Ali. It will actually take an hour for it to close caption this. So if you rewatch in about an hour and a half, it'll be closed caption. I've already done all the work to make sure y'all didn't exist. Helps Lord. So, does anyone have a good question for someone that sounds highly intelligent to me?
Yeah, take any questions.
Yeah. Yep, no negative stuff. Thank you. Her name's Andromeda Native.
Okay.
So, will God or Jesus save this world, or will you save the world? That's the question.
That's a very blatant statement. Yeah, it's going to be me. Actually, technically, it is going to be me. It's going to be me, my alien military, and in combination with a country that listens. Could be China, could be this country. It could be Russia, it could be Ukraine. But it's going to come down to me, my alien military. God, he's the overruler of everything. And the one thing you have to understand about God is there is free will. What free will means is we have been created to solve this problem. The one person that's in position to solve the problem needs to, and that's me. And what God did is he made us have free will and basically sat back and said, now it's up to you to do something because I can do everything and I made you to do stuff. So that's what free will means. So he's not in total control of everything.
Right.
We are.
I believe that. It's we're actually what I consider what's called a hive mentality. That's when you see a patent filed, you'll see the same patent filed 5 times that month, right? Because you put it into I'll call it the ether out of old time. But you put it into the matrix, and well,
What's up?
Hello.
What's up? No, I'm sorry. I was walking in my house because I forgot my cigs. I need to get my cigs, man.
Now, what kind of cigarettes do you smoke?
I smoke the Camel Crush menthols.
Oh, man, those are bad. I smoke the pure Marahudi.
The American Spirit?
No, the pure Marahudi cigarettes.
Marahudi, I don't even know what those are.
It's with a J though.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm quitting soon. But I just for some reason I started picking up smoking, and I kind of like it. It's an old military thing. Smoke them when you got them.
So the Barbary slave trade actually enslaved 1.5 million Western European Anglos, and you can look at Statistia, Wikipedia, any of Google's sites. They own them all, and you'll see that only 244,000 people were taken to the United States, and then most countries got 5 million slaves.
Yeah.
All taken by those same people that took the European slaves and sold out. So if anyone gets reparations, it should be me and you guys, right? Everybody.
Well, I think reparations is nonsense.
Me too.
We don't, we made it as a human species here, and, I think it's up to us personally to make our own way. That's what America is, and we're not Europe, so.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I haven't smoked a cigarette in 25 years. I took a puff the other day, and I ended up on the ground. It made me so dizzy.
Yeah, that'll happen. That'll absolutely happen.
Right. So, hey, let's see if anyone has any really good questions here. I appreciate your time, sir. They're chatting so quick. It's hard for me. Can you ask him what they want to make? Well, I don't know if they have intended that, Ali, so I can't ask that. They're all worried about this thing called Project Blue Beam and them trying to create a fake alien war. And that's kind of like the last way of control. It's divide and conquer. The reason that I will answer it for you guys, the reason that that Rome was the longest 2,500 years they were the ruler of the globe. We've only been ruling the globe for 250 years, okay? Think about it, 10 times longer, because they were professionals at divide and conquer.
Right. They had the best military.
Shashima, you belong to the streets. She's misbehaving.
That's whatever.
Yeah. They think if they have melatonin in their skin, they're going to live through some supernova.
No.
Obviously, they don't understand what a supernova is.
If we blow up the atmosphere with a large nuke and we don't have atmosphere, we're all dead.
And you know what? Even if it just blows up the grid, 90% of humans on Earth will be dead within 3 years. Okay? That's how it really works.
Yeah, that's real life, because we don't have ability of surviving as a species. Like, everyone is pretty much just like relying on the technology, relying on our capabilities. As soon as that goes away, we're screwed.
I like a question. How can we help, Brandon? Someone asked that.
I created Anonymous for that exact reason, for you guys to help.
And I'm going to personally help. But we'll keep that on the download.
What I actually need help with is getting in contact with Ford again. I designed the 2013 Fusion police car, and I need help getting in contact with Ford, letting them know about my hardware and having it built, and helping get the information I need to take to police. And that's
no, Shashima, you're the racist. Remember, look up above. Racism means judging people on their skin color. That's it, okay? That's racism, or their ethnology or ethnicity. And that's what you're doing. Some of my very best friends are African American, or whatever you want to call them, okay? So you're actually the racist here, and I think everyone on the chat knows it, period. Excuse me.
That's not cool. That can really piss people off. You don't want to piss people off purposely.
Well, I don't care personally.
True. Yeah, true.
That's why I do what I do, right? I didn't get here like every other YouTuber that never had a career in their life. I did 37 years in oil and gas contracts in 14 states and offshore. And then this is my retired job, okay? So, a little bit different. Randall Crow, what are you up to, bro? Good to see you. A little bit different than everyone else. Most of these people, they don't have any kind of education. They don't have any kind of life experience. They've never run businesses. I come from a whole, and YouTube doesn't know how to deal with me because I come from a whole different realm of the world. I came here to share information only. So another great question, as long as he has some power, guys. One question. Come on. Puff, puff, give. I got you. Not tonight, but...
True.
That's we used to always say that as kids, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that Ford's going to be your best bet. Like all these people don't either. I'm going to help you with that, like I told you, and I will sign a non-disclosure. I don't really have to see any of your information, but I can set you up with, these people know that Ford CLS is Four Corners Energy, a huge oil and gas company. Can-Am Energy, I own all three of them.
That's impressive, man.
Kaufman.
What I need help with is getting in contact with Ford because my grandfather, Don, he designed the Ford Mark 6 or Ford Mark 5. It looks like the Aston Martin convertible. It looks like an Aston Martin, so it's got the same front end as the Aston Martin. That's the 2013 Ford Fusion. That's the front end I designed. I designed it for Ford to make money for Ford to build my Event Horizon and TRD3 and Spartan armor system. I can't release my designs until there's a government oversight, until there's military oversight. That's why I only have the middle section of my Event Horizon and I don't show anything else. But as soon as somebody like Ford gets on board, we will be talking about building these devices and having it controlled, because we cannot allow humans to have these devices and do anything with the human population that they want. But it needs to be controlled. It needs to be regulated.
I just don't think Ford is the right vendor, but if you give me a little bit more information, I could probably help, is all I can say. Remember, I'm also a gun manufacturer, Series 7.
Technically, Ford, I want Ford on board because I was in charge of the project of the Ford Fusion 2013 model. It's got the same front end as my grandfather's front end for Ford back in the 60s when the T-Bird came out. He was best friends with the guy who designed the T-Bird. That's my grandfather. His name's Don. So the reason I want Ford is because I made them a lot of money to build my Event Horizon. And if they don't want to be on board, that's fine. I don't need them, but there is a Tesla that I've already designed that would be for Tesla, for Elon. And
Igor, good to see you. That's Igor, old friend. No one will get any blueprints unless they sign a non-disclosure, and unless you actually have some kind of...
Even then...
There's no reason... Yes, there's no reason that any of you people, unless y'all can prove worth to me, could ever get involved with anything here. So I will say I've had 3 people ask the same exact question. Is the pole flip real, and what's the Event Horizon on that?
Okay, so wait, you were cutting it out. What's the question?
They've all asked the same question. Is the pole flip real, and what's the Event Horizon time period on that?
Pole flip? What's the definition of pole flip?
Well, these are magnetic poles, not actual physical poles.
Okay, so the Event Horizon is controlled by electromagnetics. It uses the same electromagnetics as a spinning solar flare on the sun that's spun around like a corkscrew. That's technically how it works. The poles on Earth, yeah, they do flip. They flip every so often, and it causes global cooling, global warming. It causes a whole bunch of problems. But the pole flip on Earth is real, and then the Event Horizon, it uses its own electromagnetic capability to open that gateway. And that's the same electromagnetic spectrum, wave spectrum, as a spinning solar flare. That perfectly is corkscrewed. That's nuclear bomb energy, that's mass, that's gravity being perfectly spun around by electromagnetics. That's visible on the sun. But that's technically what my Event Horizon does, is it uses the electromagnetic spectrum to control gravity. It's very useful. It's a very useful device. But my alien military does not allow use of that device unless I allow it to a specific individual or a military You can't just build that device and expect to turn it on and do anything you want. It will rip you apart that second. So I mean, it's controlled. It all is. That's how this continues. That's how this has continued since that equipment has been known since the 40s.
So
that's why.
Can you give us some idea of how many Greys there may be at Area 51? Because you said you have been there.
I was in a different area. Actually, I'm from Nevada Test Site, the Groom Lake facility.
Right.
So there are aliens there, but not very many because they don't need very many. One alien can take out this entire human race that second, easily. So they don't station many aliens places at all. And anytime that there's my equipment or their equipment here, there's only a few aliens that oversee all of it. But it's not very many.
I'm hitting up someone being mean, so Shashima, I have not blocked you. I have not blocked you. She's obviously a racist, and she thinks that we're racist for not being one.
Yeah, well, odd people you just have to block, honestly.
It's called, I usually do, but this time I'm enjoying it. It's called, well, they actually, they project their own inner feelings onto you.
Yeah, that's what the classic of projection, delusional projection is you take your faults and you project them on other people. It's classic. It's medically classic.
It's a medical condition, but you know, the reason Obama gave out all the Obama phones is so he could actually pick what was pushed towards your phone to eventually convince you to hit the streets. That's what the whole game was. No one seems to know that.
But I'm going to go.
Okay. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us. First off, I want everyone to give us a thumbs up for Brandon here. Hopefully he'll join us again soon. Hey, really educational, really great presentation. I want to thank you. And hey, if you need anything from me or want to pursue anything we talked about, let me know, and I'll at least make a few calls and put you in touch with the right people.
That'd be awesome, man, because we do need Ford on board, and then later on we need DARPA, the DOD, the Pentagon to get on board as well, and then we'll be making some very serious moves. And we're talking a very large government contract to build TRB-3s, Spartan armor systems for warfare, Event Horizons for battle stars, very large military spacecrafts, and we could make any manufacturer an extreme amount of money if they're willing to be on board with that, because it will be a government contract eventually. So we're talking large sums of money made to you, the company that you put me in touch with. I want Ford personally, just because I made their fusion for them. I was in charge of the project to make enough money to actually build my hardware. That was on my own. That was without a government contract. But you know, Tesla, that's another company. But yeah, definitely, I'll let you know, man. We'll try to make some serious moves because there's a lot of money to be made, and you know, warfare is the best way to make money. Well, it really is. That's
why we're at war right now. The economies around Europe and the U.S. would be in a free fall without the Ukrainian war. That's what the war is really about. Just FYI, okay?
Yeah, that does make perfect sense.
So,
yep, I'm gonna go.
Hey, thank you again.
To you guys.
God bless you, sir. Everyone give him a thumbs up. Yeah, hey, keep helping any way you can. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless.
Man.